So I just want to start off today with a quick poll for the audience. And I'm wondering if there are any diplomats out there. Do we have any diplomats? Don't be shy. You can just raise your hand. You can shout. I'm looking for our diplomats. Okay. So I just wanted to ask you guys, what comes to mind when you hear the word diplomacy? Maybe you think about people negotiating peace, world leaders, maybe you're thinking climate summits, or ambassadors, heads of state. Oxford Dictionary simply defines diplomacy as the art of dealing with people in a sensitive and tactful way. And I believe that most of us here really seek to navigate our relationships sensitively and tactfully. And I would argue that most of us are a lot closer to practicing diplomacy in our everyday lives than we may think. So my name is DeJorie Monroe, and I'm from the class of 2016, and delighted to share with you all today how my experience at Notre Dame taught me how to think diplomatically and really set me on a path to pursue international affairs. So my ND journey goes all the way back to the summer before my senior year of high school. So many people that we've heard from already have shared their Notre Dame origin stories. I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to travel to Notre Dame to participate in a high school seminar for summer scholars, African American scholars, and it was my first time ever setting foot on campus. And I was exposed to Notre Dame as a place immediately where I really felt at home. So this Southern girl did not feel out of place at all, which really surprised me. It was my first time in Indiana, maybe my first time in the Midwest. A lot of people have talked about culture shock. I got mine right away. But it kind of eased into something where I felt that the people that I was meeting would really make this place feel like home, and the campus was a really special place to be. And I was also exposed to Notre Dame as a place that truly gathers the best and the brightest, while presenting us with real life and simulated challenges in a safe community environment to be able to explore creative solutions to some of the world's most complex issues. And that's kind of what I want to get into as well. I felt that through my experience at Notre Dame, it was really my network of support that made me feel safe and supported in exploring so many of my new interests and ideas of things that I wanted to pursue here on campus. So I came in knowing for sure that I wanted to study Spanish. Okay, cool. So I was from South Carolina. I still am from there. And I have it's hard to explain exactly why I wanted to study Spanish coming into Notre Dame in the first place. I had the opportunity to travel to Panama, and going into my college decision-making process, I knew that I wanted to find an institution that really valued international studies in the sense that it offered international opportunities for travel or service and exposure. And what I learned at Notre Dame was that you can get those types of experiences. Of course, you can get them outside of the U.S. But what I really learned was some of those same things that I was seeking in traveling abroad and in learning from other communities and other peoples and exploring different languages. You can also get right here, not just at Notre Dame, but in the South Bend community, and you can find a way to apply some of those same skills to certain activities and projects that I ended up pursuing. And I'd like to just talk about a few of those. So in my time at Notre Dame, after I had declared my Spanish major, which I did like first week of freshman year, which most people don't do, I had the chance to actually study other languages, and those are so that was Portuguese and Arabic, as well as Hebrew while I was here on campus. And it was some of those experiences that led me to get involved with the South Bend community, where I worked with La Casa de Amistad and some other community organizations like the Robinson Community Center, doing literacy tutoring. And some of those experiences really helped me see, I guess, the value in using education as a tool to bring people together, and as, this thing that can really be the great equalizer for so many different communities. So if you fast forward through my time at Notre Dame, which of course I would hate to do, I graduated from Notre Dame after having an experience to study abroad in Chile, which was an incredible experience in Santiago, meeting lots of different people from other backgrounds, taking my courses entirely in Spanish, which was very, very interesting. So imagine taking like a history course, a theology course, a philosophy course, all in Spanish. One of the biggest challenges I had at Notre Dame was actually not here on our South Bend campus, but it was when I was taking those courses. And when I graduated, I pursued the OR Fellowship, which is an entrepreneurial-based fellowship program in Indianapolis. And I felt very fortunate to move to Indianapolis and start working at a software company, which was totally out of my comfort zone. And I felt that my experience at Notre Dame prepared me to work in this space that I might not have felt entirely prepared for, but it was based on all of the mentorship that I had gained as a student and the support that I felt from my peers and my professors and the various people that I met on campus that helped me feel supported and ready to tackle this new journey. And so I stayed in Indianapolis for about 3 years, and one of the really exciting things that I got to pursue there, in addition to working at this host company called Genesis, I was also involved in the nonprofit body of OR Fellowship and served as our director of civic engagement. And it was really in that role that I felt I was drawn back to this idea of using education as a tool to bring communities together. Through our program called Launchpad, we worked to bring entrepreneurial and design thinking curriculum to middle school students. And it really is that critical age, and it was one of the things that we really focused on was reaching those students and letting them know about different career paths, that you don't necessarily have to take the traditional route. You don't have to be, if you don't want to, you can, a teacher, a policeman, a firefighter, a doctor. Not that all of those things are easy to achieve, but sometimes, much like diplomacy, which I had never really considered as a career path, there are many other career paths that exist that maybe students that don't see those things in their everyday lives might not be exposed to. And so it was through this work that I knew that I was probably not going to stay in the corporate world for much longer, as much as I was learning. And I had the immense privilege of moving to Argentina to teach business English at a university there through a Fulbright grant. And that was kind of where the diplomacy theme really came full circle for me. That was my first time meeting foreign service officers. And so the foreign service at the time was very nebulous to me, but I eventually learned that it's just people that represent the United States abroad. Sounds simple enough, and obviously it is simple enough. I'm standing in front of you, and I am on my way to the Foreign Service in the next few years. I joke, but really the simplicity of it to me is all of the support that I have gained from my Notre Dame institutions, or the institutions here, whether it be CUSE, which is the Center for Undergraduate Scholarly Education, engagement, many of my professors, of course my family, and the various other communities that I built here on campus through dorm life, through the gospel choir, etc. And so I just want to conclude here today, I guess, with a brief, bit about where I'm headed. So my story is more about, I would say, the promise of diplomacy. So I'm not a diplomat yet. I have been selected for a fellowship that is funded by the State Department. It's called the Rangel Fellowship, and through it, I've had the opportunity to work on Capitol Hill as a foreign policy fellow, and am now starting graduate school at Georgetown University in the Global Human Development Program, which is incredible. And through much more Foreign Service training and exposure to diplomats, in 2 years' time, I will be joining the Foreign Service of the United States. And I think that it's just such a huge privilege because it is an opportunity for me to take my all of the things that I appreciated about my Notre Dame experience, the language learning, the relationship building, and the meeting of people and bringing people together, and really apply it to a career. And I think it is really a privilege to pursue your passion as a career. So thank you so much to all of you today for taking the time to hear my story. Like so many of you that have shared before me, I have felt inspired by the things you've shared. I don't typically think of myself as someone that shares a story that is inspirational because, or not necessarily because, but I think that Notre Dame really produces an environment where our stories are representative of so many other students' experiences, just being really well supported. And so thank you again to all of you today that are showing support to us, and I appreciate your time, and go Irish. Thank you.